And we begin things in Miami, where Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will come off the IR after missing the last 4 games with a concussion. Miami went 1-3 in his absence. Tua will return to practice on Wednesday in hopes of suiting up for the Dolphins' Week 8 matchup against the Cardinals. Here's what Tua had to say in regard to the risks associated with his return to action.
Every time we all suit up, we're all taking a risk that we could potentially get hurt, whether it's a concussion, a broken bone, anything. You get up off of the bed the wrong way, you potentially could risk you spraining your ankle. There's just risk in any and everything, and I'm willing to play the odds. I love this game, and I love it to the death of me. That's it.
Some passionate words from Tua, but the fact that can't be ignored is he's missed 18 games due to varying injuries across his time in the NFL. As we are now welcomed in by CBS Sports NFL writer John Breech to break down a busy news day across the football world. And John, good news, the Dolphins are getting Tua back, but the bad news, currently 2-4 where we stand. I want to ask you, do you think his presence at quarterback will automatically maybe kickstart this dormant offense, or do you think it might take some time?
I think it could be kickstarted instantly. I mean, he's an upgrade over what the Dolphins have had. You look at Tyler Huntley, was barely on the roster for a week before he started his first game. We know they also have Tim Boyle, who has never been a part of a winning game in his life if he's thrown a pass in a game, 0-10. So Tua is just a big upgrade for this team. I'm sure Tyreek Hill has been making marks on his wall, counting down the days until Tua gets back. Same thing with Jaylen Waddle. Both those guys only had 1 reception in week 7. Those are 2 weapons that are going to get a lot of use once Tua is back under center. And you look at this team, you mentioned their record right now, it's 2-4. This really is a great time to be getting Tua back because you're not out of the playoff race. They're only 1.5 games out of that last wild card spot in the AFC, so there's a lot of time to make up that type of ground. You look at the schedule they have coming up for their next 5 games are against teams that don't currently have a winning record. You have the Patriots, a very winnable game, the Colts, the Cardinals, the Rams. So there's a lot of games there they can win with Tua under center. So yeah, this is a great time for Tua to be here, and I do think this offense will take a huge step forward if he's on the field Sunday.
And it's been evident every time when he is not on that field compared to when he is on that field. You see this offense humming. It was just a year removed from this as being one of the most productive offenses in the NFL. 6 wins across 17 games with Tua not on the field. That's not going to get it done for the Dolphins. But from some good injury news to maybe some bad injury news, Deshaun Watson's going to officially miss the rest of the season after suffering a ruptured Achilles. It was already a rough season in Cleveland after starting the season 1-6. Watson will still have 2 years left on his $46 million per year contract after this season. So, John, the Browns now have a choice for their new QB1 the rest of the way. You got Jameis Winston, or you have Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Who should Cleveland ride with at this point?
Well, I think it depends how Kevin Stefanski wants to play this. I feel like Jameis Winston probably gives them the best chance to win games. So if you think you have any shot at a playoff spot or just getting back, making a fight for that last wild card spot, I'd probably start Jameis Winston. But let's remember, Dorian Thompson-Robinson was a draft pick last year. So if you're thinking, hey, let's get the young quarterback on the field, let's try and develop him, then you start him. But the Browns also have a schedule that's kind of conducive to playing both guys. They have a bye in week 10. So you could put Jameis Winston out there this week, week 8, then play him again in week 9, reassess everything at the bye in week 10, and if you lose these 2 games, your season's pretty much over as it is. When you're sitting at 1-6, you lose the next 2, you're 1-8, season's over. You go to DTR, you let him play the rest of the season. So I think that Jameis gives him the best chance to win, but if you want to develop your quarterback, then play Thompson-Robinson. You say you can't lose. You can go either way here, Kevin Stefanski.
It was interesting, nonetheless, week 7 with Jameis being the 3rd quarterback on that depth chart behind DTR. So could be the young guy getting more reps as we start looking ahead. But how about the Commanders getting much better? Quarterback injury news is Jayden Daniels is expected to be week to week with a rib injury suffered against the Panthers. That number 2 overall pick status for the week 8 matchup against number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams currently up in the air. Unfortunate for football fans, certainly looking forward to that one. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn said this is, quote, not a long-term injury. But if they're hopeful that he can play, but will also make sure to take every precautionary step. So, John, in your mind, is there any rush to get Jayden back in the lineup for this pivotal matchup against Chicago? And if he does come back, should the Commanders' offensive scheme maybe change in any way?
Well, if he's too sore to play, this is all about your future. So if there's a situation where it could get a lot worse if you put him out there, then resting him a week is not the worst thing in the world. Now, we've seen quarterbacks get these rib injuries before. They wear a flak jacket in their next game, and they go out in the field and they take the punishment that quarterbacks take. But Jayden Daniels kind of has a unique playing style where he's going to be running the ball. He's going to be taking hits. So you do have to worry about that a little bit. Obviously, though, I think football fans, the NFL, CBS, everyone would love to see Jayden Daniels out there so we can see the top 2 picks go at it on Sunday with Caleb Williams facing Jayden Daniels. But if he is out, look, Marcus Mariota got to play almost the entire game in Week 7. He showed that he can run Cliff Kingsbury's offense. So, yes, it's a step down to go from Daniels to Mariota. But, look, Mariota showed that he could do it efficiently. It was almost like a practice game for him, and he actually looked pretty good considering that he hadn't played football in a while. So obviously we want to see Jayden Daniels out there. But if it's Marcus Mariota, the Commanders could absolutely still win the game.
Hey, John, are you familiar with that old school song, It Never Rains? And, well, it technically talks about Southern California. Well, I'm going to let you know in Northern California, it's pouring because the injury bug continues to ravage the 49ers offense. Brandon Ayuk now will miss the rest of the season with that torn ACL suffered against the Chiefs. Ayuk had just signed that 4-year, $120 million extension after an extended hold-in over the offseason. Fellow Niners receiver Deebo Samuel currently in the hospital dealing with pneumonia. And running back Christian McCaffrey, as we all know, still a few weeks away from his return to action. So, John, after another domino falls on the 49ers offense, are the mountain injuries just too much for San Francisco to handle, or do you see perhaps maybe some light at the end of this tunnel? Because I've got my umbrella right now.
I don't know what the 49ers did to offend the football gods, but this is absolutely a disaster right now. It's completely out of their control. It's just totally bad luck. And there is certainly a light at the end of the tunnel. It's way down there. I think it's Christian McCaffrey holding a flashlight in Week 10 saying, hey, if we can get that far and win a few games, I can be back after the bye. And I think that is kind of what you're staring at if you're the 49ers, because you're going into this week's game against the Cowboys. You know Brandon Ayuk's not going to be out there. There's a good chance Deebo Samuel's not going to be out there. And you're looking at the other injuries. Juwan Jennings, who leads the team in receiving yards and who would ostensibly be the #1 receiver if Deebo and Brandon Ayuk are both not out there, is also banged up. George Kittle's got a foot strain. Even their kicker's injured. So, yes, this has been an ugly year for injuries if you are the 49ers. So you were just crossing your fingers going into Week 8, hoping that no one else gets injured, hoping that you can get to the bye week where you have that chance to see everyone recovered. So as long as they get to the bye, I think they'll be okay, but it is going to be rough until then.
Yeah, and also hoping that you can somehow get some of these reserves to maybe step up in the place of a lot of these missing starters due to injury. It's a lot of hoping and wishing for the San Francisco 49ers. We'll see how that all plays out as they got a matchup in Week 8 against the Dallas Cowboys. That's CBS Sports NFL writer John Breech on all the latest NFL news. John, appreciate you. CBS has 7 monster games on tap this Sunday. We'll have #1 versus #2 between the Bears and Commanders. We hope so. Will the Chiefs keep their undefeated streak going against the last team to beat them? Will the Patriots find a way to avoid their 7th straight loss? Plenty of questions, and Sunday's got answers. Watch live or stream on Paramount Plus and tune into HQ. We got highlights and post-game reaction.